guys are aware, Napheesa Collier, the Minnesota Lynx star, and hard to call anybody the WNBA a star, but she went on a tirade criticizing Cathy Engelbert.
Minnesota Lynx star Napheesa Collier blasted WNBA leadership in her exit interview on Tuesday, accusing League Commissioner Cathy Engelbert of being, quote, negligent in her governance.
The commissioner of the WNBA, I told you all yesterday, hey, look, Cathy Engelbert's incompetent. So is Adam Silver. The people running the NBA and the WNBA, they're incompetent. There's no question. They're put there for their incompetence. They're easy to push over.
Yesterday on First Take, you called for Cathy Engelbert's resignation from her role as WNBA commissioner. When you hear Caitlin Clark there, how does that strike you?
Doesn't strike me at all. Same reaction. Cathy Engelbert.
What happens when one of the WNBA's biggest stars takes direct aim at the commissioner in the middle of CBA talks? Napheesa Collier just went full-on nuclear with a calculated strike, and instead of backing away, media heavyweights like Stephen A. Smith and Dave Portnoy jumped right on the blast wave. This wasn't just another player complaint. This was a professional, paper-in-hand takedown that's got everyone asking whether Cathy Engelbert can even survive the storm she's in. The question isn't if there will be fallout. It's how massive it's about to get. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Imagine this. A star player doesn't storm into the room emotional or loud. She shows up calm with a piece of paper in her hand, and then reads from it like every line is supposed to stick. That's exactly how Napheesa Collier came after Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. No yelling, no messy rant. It looked like something prepared days in advance, with every word aimed directly at the woman running the league. Fans watching didn't see frustration. They saw something more official.
I'm not defending Cathy Engelbert, but I think what Napheesa Collier did was stupid, immature, shouldn't be celebrated. She went full-blown, black queen, be quiet, a black woman's talking, and I've been mistreated, and I got injured.
As the commissioner of the WNBA. And the reason I said that, fellas, is because when a player, and Napheesa Collier is a star in the WNBA. This is not some role play.
And it's about personal relationships. And I know how to run a league because I started Unrivaled, and these venture capitalists have given me millions of dollars to blow on a 3-on-3 Gus Macker basketball league. And so I know more than Cathy Engelbert and everybody.
Okay, who also happens to be a vice president. Yep. You understand, plays association. For her to come out and attack the commission, and I say that not in any kind of derogatory way.
Almost like a hearing being conducted in public. Collier read her points like she was delivering evidence. That's what made it sting. Usually when players have complaints, it's about travel, referees, or scheduling. This wasn't that. This was direct criticism of Engelbert's ability to lead. It felt like a wrestling clothesline that landed perfectly, not sloppy or wild, but a hit people had to take seriously. And because it was so precise, it carried way more weight. It's easy for the league to brush off an emotional vent. It's way harder when someone calmly lays out flaws right in front of the cameras. The headlines immediately exploded after her comments. Reports came out that Engelbert was likely to exit after the CBA, even though the league quickly denied it and called that talk categorically false. But once that rumor exists, it changes the whole vibe. It planted doubt, and once doubt sticks, viewers start questioning whether the leadership is solid enough to handle what's coming next. What Collier's criticism really zeroed in on is Engelbert's lack of connection with players. Sources call her smart with business, but not someone who can build relationships.
And of course, an idiot like Stephen A. Smith hears that and says, oh, Black Queen, how can I worship you? Because that's all we do. We worship women. And pretend like...
She was talking about Cathy Engelbert directly. She revealed private conversations, you understand, with quotes from this lady, the commissioner, about what she said.
Because, I've been scolded in my prayer group very politely for using the word moist. I'm trying to use the word moist less often, but it's a word that I don't think is profane.
That came across as dismissive, as derogatory, and unappreciative of the athletes that represent her league. And then the person I call the golden goose of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
And during negotiations, that matters more than ever. Because when you see the players want someone who can bridge the human side, the obvious question becomes, what happens when the biggest voices in sports media step up and add their fire to the scene? And that's when Stephen A. Smith and Dave Portnoy decided to unload with their own flamethrower takes. Here's where it gets wild. Stephen A. Smith didn't just throw shade. He flat out said Engelbert should resign. His exact words were, "You should resign. You need to resign, period." That wasn't a half-hearted jab or a typical segment rant. He went straight for the commissioner's seat, publicly saying she should step down in the middle of labor negotiations. For a league already under pressure, that kind of moment doesn't float away. It sticks. Fans, players, owners, everybody heard it. Now, Smith is always known for being fiery, but this felt different. He called her response to Collier's comments a weak-ass statement. That's brutal. He was basically saying not only was Collier right to take her shot, but Engelbert made herself look even worse by answering with something flimsy. Smith even went as far as suggesting Adam Silver might be a better option to run the WNBA. Think about that. Asking the NBA commissioner to do double duty because he believed it would actually be an upgrade. That's the guy who oversees the biggest basketball league on the planet, and Smith's argument was he'd lead the WNBA better too. And then came Dave Portnoy, who wasn't tiptoeing either. He didn't just call out Engelbert, he went after the whole league.
My thoughts and the reality of what's gone on here in America and globally is men are so weak for the moistness of women.
You understand who is box office for the WNBA? Just look at the numbers, look at the ratings, look at everything. For her to come out and said, Fee said it all. She's letting you know that Napheesa Collier didn't lie.
And we pretend like they can do no wrong because we're so weak and have so little discipline because of our obsession with moistness. And so here's Stephen A. Smith.
She didn't mince words, and she didn't misrepresent what the collective body of the league is feeling about this commissioner and her leadership. You cannot, and then
His words were, "The dumbest league run by absolute morons." That's not holding back, that's full flamethrower mode. He ripped the way the WNBA markets itself, saying the fan engagement is weak and officiating has been a disaster. Portnoy pointed to Caitlin Clark as the engine driving all the new attention and flat out said the league doesn't know how to handle it. Players are asking for raises, fans are flooding in to watch Clark, and the leadership can't seem to balance either side. With Smith and Portnoy piling on, Engelbert isn't only facing unhappy players anymore. Now she's under fire with the media spotlight blazing. So what does all this mean for the WNBA's future, especially with the CBA clock ticking? That's the real storm on the horizon. The WNBA is finally seeing a surge with bigger crowds, more media, and Caitlin Clark pulling massive attention. But at the same time, the leadership at the top looks shaky, almost like the league's biggest threat isn't from outside competition, but from within its own structure. Collier's calm but sharp words turned cracks into headlines, and once Stephen A. Smith called out Engelbert saying she needs to resign, the spotlight only got brighter. Now everything comes down to the CBA. Player trust and commissioner relationships will decide if this growth keeps going or stalls under pressure.